All right, folks, got Friday night college football betting previews. Don't forget for the weekend, Joe Duffy's picks at offshoreinsiders.com. We got a Friday night college football wise guy playing a major play. Saturday is humongous. 9 wise guy plays 2 majors. We've got a total of the year. It's a non-Power 5 non-conference total of the year and a non-conference underdog game of the year. Sunday, NFL already with 2 NFL wise guy plays up in a major. More NFL is likely before the weekend's out. Remember, you can get the plays in advance before the lines move. Bunch of different packages at offshoreinsiders.com. Take a look at your Friday night betting. Wake Forest and Rice. The game time temperature is expected to be about 96 degrees. The debate, you could say, on one hand, look, Wake Forest is the team with a little bit more depth. On the other hand, which team is it going to affect less? Sure, Wake Forest is in North Carolina, the, what do they call the Research Triangle, but it's hot in North Carolina. It's not as hot as it is in Texas, so Texas should be less affected by that brutal heat. Also, Wake Forest likes to play that up-tempo, so that might affect their ability to play up-tempo. Now, we also have a system that says to fade abysmal teams, and it's 198, 149, and 6. It does apply to Wake Forest, but the truth is, you've probably ridden this system, with us, especially on free picks. It's kind of lost its luster over the past few years. Hasn't been as good, but because it's still good historically, worth keeping an eye on. Rice, completely different tempo than the fast-paced Utah State team that Wake Forest saw last week. 72% of bets and 89% of the money is on Rice. That falls a little bit, that's actually somewhat of a significant, 70%, let's try that again. That's actually on Wake Forest, I should say. That money is on Wake Forest. 72% and 89% of the money is on the Wake Forest. 64% of the bets and 81% of the money is on the over. Rice with 3 graduate transfers on their offensive line starting. Now, on one hand, you would say, okay, they got some veterans. But on the other hand, look, they still got to gel on that offensive line. Take some time to gel. Rice in a little bit of a tough spot here with a look ahead to Texas and Baylor the next 2 weeks. Wake Forest, again, likes to play that up-tempo. They had 58 runs and 47 passes last week, but they might have to adjust that in this brutal heat. Now, the temperature is supposed to drop throughout the game. It should drop into the 80s. Not that that's super comfortable, but it could be more comfortable as the game goes on. Teams that allow 380 or more yards passing and are road favorites of 9 or more cover at a 58.3% rate. We will take a free winner on Wake Forest plus the 19. Again, Wake Forest plus the 19 is your free winning pick. How about Marshall and Boise State? Teams that trailed by 15 or more after the first quarter and still won the game are a go-against in the next week, which would be this week, at 18-6. Now, that record since 2010, that would say to fade Boise State. Remember, Boise State was off of that big win, and looks like I have my inferior microphone on. Sorry about that. I did that last week, too, didn't I? There we go. Now, should be better. There we go. Should be better sound. Boise State, of course, off of that big win last week against Florida State, but the computer says they are susceptible to a letdown. In fact, in a very rare circumstance, when a team does make that dramatic of a comeback and they have less than a full week's rest, perfect 2-0 go against. Marshall has the nation's leading 29 plays of 10 or more, and Boise State gave up 5 plays of 30 or more to Florida State. So Marshall could be getting some big plays here. 78% of the bets and 64% of the money is on Boise State. 75% of the money and 57% of the bets are on the over. Nothing there that quite rises to the level of contrarian. Marshall 0-7 after allowing less than 20 points in their previous game. That's, of course, ATS. Boise State 38-18-2 after allowing more than 280 yards passing in their last game. Boise State quarterback Hank Backmeyer tossed for 407 passing yards after taking over for Brooke Ripien. Marshall with 15 starters back. And we don't actually have a free pick here, but for those of you who can bet added rotation games, and check offshoreinsiders.com for the best sports books to bet the added rotation games. We got William & Mary plus a 34 at Virginia. Road underdogs in a very low total. Pretty solid, 428, 313, and 24. And huge underdogs off a win, 43, 25, and 2 for 63.2%. That says to go with Bill and Mary. Virginia and William, Virginia and William and Mary to go over the 45 as well. When you have a high total, a high line, I should say, but not a super high total, it goes over 248, 169, and 10. In other words, blowouts, games that are expected to be blowouts, but the total's not that high, are generally high scoring, is what it says. So Virginia and William and Mary to go over. So the underdog and the over. How about some quick baseball stuff? Philadelphia and the Mets. Zach Eflin, and this is for Friday as well. Zach Eflin, 3 earned runs this last 30 innings pitch. His road numbers are actually pretty competitive with his home numbers, so he's not really affected that much on the road. The Phillies are 3-11 on the road with him, so he's not getting that much run support on the road, although it's not that much better overall, 9-18. Steven Matz, 7 earned runs his last 30 innings pitch. Crazy splits, like a 2.0 on home ERA and a 278 on base percentage, 1.06. Compare that to the road, where he's terrible, 6.08, 343, and 157 respectively. Mets 0-6 at home, minus 6.8 units. San Fran and Dodgers, Jeff Samardzija, 6 earned runs his last 5 innings pitch, the last time out. And shockingly, though, the road team's actually done very well in his starts at 18-10. Clayton Kershaw, 5.50 ERA his last 3 starts, but his ERA is 2.53 at home. Not really worried about the fact he's been somewhat of a mortal over his last 3. 1.01 whip overall and at home. And the Dodgers are 12-2 at home with him. Remember, if you like this free information, if you want free picks all the time, just please retweet, or if you're watching us on Periscope, give us a heart, comment on YouTube, Facebook, you name it. That's your way of telling us you want more and more and more and more. And make sure you visit offshoreinsiders.com for the best picks for winning sports services that go back to the 1980s on the score phones, and for the most thoroughly vetted sports books.